professional caster, and my voice rarely gets damaged because I am fantastic, and don't you forget it. You know who else is fantastic, Grant? Are both of our players in our next series.
Yeah, we've already into the first map here, as we didn't have a lot of downtime. Here on Jagannatha, our first player in the bottom left, representing Gamers Origin. At one time, the absolute GOAT, a multiple-time champion. It is Stephano.
I like that Reddit was doing Chuck Norris jokes about Clem, and I was like, "What is this? 2015 and Stephano all over again?" Because we've all been.
We've done it.
Stephano's opponent up in the top right, Grant, in the blue, representing Team Exxon and Poland. He is our Protoss player, Gerald.
What's wild about that is you make Chuck Norris jokes about Clem, but I make Nesty jokes about Chuck Norris. Because let's face it, Chuck Norris is just a shittier Nesty.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
That's provably, demonstrably true.
Yeah.
Plus, Nesty has done so many great Western action films.
Like, way more than Chuck Norris.
Way more than Chuck Norris. That's right. I can't name a single. I don't think I've ever seen a Chuck Norris film in my life.
He was in the Expendables movies, but he played himself as a meme. So
no, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
No.
I've never seen like Walker, Texas Ranger or anything like that.
Right, that was his big thing. Well, that was a show, though,
right? It was
a
show, yeah, that was his big thing. But no, I'm not a Nesty. I mean, we all just live in Nesty's universe, so I'm just glad he allows us to talk about StarCraft within it.
You know, there are kids in the States who are actually named Walker.
That's ridiculous.
What a terrible name. Why would you do that to your child?
Like, I know it as a surname, like Kyle Walker, the football player.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But their first name, like kids being named, their first name is Walker.
Can you imagine your name was Walker? That'd be quite good.
I would actually go for that. That sounds like a radio call signal,
Walker.
like if you're in Star Wars. Walker, reporting in. That's great. That's great.
Roger. Yeah, it's just like that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That's a really good impression of a service droid.
That's because I am one.
Very nice. I'm gonna get yelled at in Twitch chat. People will be like, actually, that's not a service droid. Actually, that's a C424 Imperial Storm droid.
Let's just go
They're
all the
based
way.
roughly on the...
I don't like Star Wars, so... And do you know what? I'm going to keep going. I think Harry Potter is shite. Okay.
Wow. We're about to get canceled, Grant.
I've been trying for years.
Stargate opener for Geralt. No surprises here. Grant, what were you saying about Geralt as you introduced him in our previous series?
I don't know. I forgot.
You said he loves his oracles. That seems to be the build he's going for these days. Tons of oracles for Geralt. 5, 6, 37 oracles. Would love to see a mass oracle build here, but Stargate openers, just like most Protoss openers, Grant, got a lot of options here. Plenty of ways he can go.
Yeah, Geralt coming in for a scout here. The Stalker, a little unusual. Usually, of course, an Adept would be the one doing this. But the Stalker has that little bit more bulk. Can get in, fire off a couple of pot shots. I imagine we will see Void Ray.
Phoenix.
Well, we're fired.
That's probably it. Oracle coming out from Geralt, as you called, before the game and just before this. So one Oracle, a pretty common opener here. Void Ray after that could happen. But as you said, Grant, Geralt, not a player who's afraid to go for that multiple Oracle build. No. And, you know, I think multiple Oracles, a lot of people are like, oh, Silver League, Strat, Math Oracle, lol. But, man, in the hands of a really good Protoss player, that can be an absolutely terrifying composition.
Yeah, and it was this event or part of the DreamHack Masters events many years ago where he made his name, getting a very, very deep run, specifically in the lower bracket stage, where Geralt got all the way, I believe, to a top 6 finish. It was certainly very close to that. I'm not sure of the exact position here. Off of the back of some wonky but very, very fun play, and I've been a big fan of the guy ever since. He has a good stream. He lives in a mansion. He's got everything. He now has a beard, which last time I tuned in just blew my mind. Oh, that was nice, Geralt, getting a lava as well there. Forcing a pretty big pull here. May even get a couple of workers. Just gets the one. How many drones have gone down in this game? 1 drone, 1 ling, and a creep tumor. But there's also been a lot of cancels forced. So these oracles, whilst not finding a lot of damage, strengthen numbers, Creighton, because they're continuing to build up.
You love to see it, Grant. 2 on the field now. Number Trace coming out as well. This is going to be gorgeous from Geralt. Like we said, I feel like oracles share a special spot in my heart with Banshees, where a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's sort of a utility unit, a fun strategy unit, but not like a real part of your composition. But man, the DPS that these things can output is absolutely bananas candy, Grant. And getting 3, 4, 10 of them together, you can cancel whole bases in the blinks of an eye.
there was a period in the beta for Heart of the Swarm, I believe is when Oracles came out, right? When you would build like 6 or 7 and you go around and just kill bases because they were just so busted for doing that. Obviously not as prominent anymore. Gerald, really the only person who's making like lots and lots of them. He's stopped on 3 this game, which is an exceptional amount, but it's not an exceptionally low amount. And he may, of course, add more in. He's also getting a lot of adepts. We're going to get a glaive push off the back of this crate, and by the looks of things, we're +1.
Ah, that's a really cute play, man. I love Protoss.
Oh, maybe not.
I love where Protoss is right now. You can go for a glaive detect on the back of a Stargate opener with glaives, without glaives. You can do it with +1. You can do it without +1. You can do it with a warp prism or not. The thing you don't want to do is run them into a bunch of queens like that. They're going to get driven back. But again, glaive to depth attacks are always scary, Grant. They're scary now. They're scary when the shade finishes. They're scary when the 3rd shade finishes. And they're especially scary if you fail to get down that Evo chamber block in time.
Yeah, now we see that these adepts have taken over the main, force a very, very large pull. Does look like a retreat is going to come in. I maybe would have liked to have seen a bit more of a committal here because this didn't do much. I have to say Stephano is, he's not a high drone count, but he has a lot of queens. His infrastructure isn't bad. He's going to be able to drone off of 4 hatcheries as well very, very quickly to get up into the 70s. Picking off one more, yes, on the way out there as well. Oracles, though, still standing strong does mean there is still the chance of some more aggression coming in, although not if they fly over 100 queens.
Yeah, gotta be cautious with the movement patterns here, but like we said, those Oracles can add a lot of DPS. There's no way that 4 roaches would, or the 3 adepts would take a fight against 4 roaches without the Oracles here to support, and this free damage on the roaches coming across is always good. By the way, fun fact, Grant, I'm just checking chat here. Apparently Hellraiser just did either 6 or 9 Oracles against Lambo in the last series.
Absolute legend. We've just been saying the whole time how no one else does it, and then he goes and just takes a dump on our analysis here. Robotics Bay coming in for our Protoss player. We do see it looks like Lurker's going to be the name of the game for Stephano. He is getting his infestation pit as Hydra Den is down, getting ranged upgrades as well. And lots of drones, as I said, off for 4 hatcheries. One thing Stephano hasn't been able to do is drone very heavily or spread creep. That's 2 things. His creep is really quite underwhelming as these Oracles and Adepts have pushed it back. And Gerald's done a good job of never really overextending. He still has tech. It's not great tech as he does not have any disruptors or anything on the field just yet. I'm curious to see if he is going to go into Colossus here. If he is, he'll probably want to start ETL very soon. We do have more aggression coming in, 7 more drones going down for an Oracle. Definitely a decent trade, but Stephano's getting his hive already at 7, nearly 8 minutes. And once that completes and we do get some lurkers on the field, this could be very difficult for our Protoss player to deal with. It looks like, though, he's going to go.
Yeah, I really like this from Gerald. You know, he's on his 4th base, or he's spinning up his 4th base now. He's got a 2nd robo behind this, and he's going to start cranking out the disruptors 2 at a time. Disruptor Stalker is so powerful, especially if there are no lurkers to zone them out here. Even though the Oracle goes down, it gets the Revelation off on the Queens, and with Blink and the Warp Prism in position here, Gerald can take this fight over and over again, even though he's not going to win it. He can slow down Stephano, pick off his army as much as possible, and force a lot of units out of Stephano.
Yeah, and Stephano is most vulnerable right now. You can see he's actually going to evacuate this base because he knows he cannot win the fight like this without lurkers. Hydras are good, but Stalkers are not a bad counter when you have this amount because they are able to kill them very, very quickly. And now with a Disruptor joining the fray as well, this becomes very scary for things like the Queens, who are not the quickest units to dodge. And now we see that first Purification Nova. Going to blow up a Queen. It does survive with a limited amount of hit points. Recall on the 1 Disruptor is something. Maybe not necessary there, but I mean, it is what it is. Gonna bring more of them together now. But the Lurker
I'm
Den
gonna
is done.
disagree, Grant. That's a brilliant play.
Okay.
He wants both those disruptors together. He's not gonna be able to re-engage with that disruptor until it fires its next shot. Like he won't be able to fire the next shot before the next engagement happens. So recalling it back guarantees that it's safe, guarantees that it marries up with the other disruptor, and lets it put its cooldown while he moves back across the map. I actually kind of think that was cute.
Stalker's finding a lot of damage here. They've killed a lot of creep. They're killing overlords. Stephano, though, is getting time. He has lurkers. Seismic Spines is 2/3 of the way done. Everything's starting to look pretty good for Stephano as long as he can hold on. But, I mean, I'm a little bit worried that holding on is going to be a problem. Look at the worker count. Stephano is not at 90 drones. He's now being completely zoned off of the space, which he's forced to cancel. Disruptor is going to fire, get 3 or 4 Hydras, which is great as well. Now we can see a bit of a committal up the ramp here. Ballsy by our Protoss player who doesn't want to overcommit, but actually, if he thins out the Hydras enough, he can just blink on top of these Lurkers. Queen's coming to reinforce.
Definitely could. Stephano slightly out of position with a lot of those queens there, which is a shame because he's got to have those queens able to retransfuse those lurkers. The lurkers are good by themselves, but once the queens are there, it really superpowers them and prevents them from getting down.
Reposition coming in here.
Reposition them in good time.
Yeah, definitely. We do see a drop that's going to head up into the main very shortly. It will be scouted by this Overlord. Oh, he's not. He's going backwards. There's no enemies that way. Cool. Stalker's continuing to be very, very annoying here behind this Dark Shrine about to complete. Very surprised that this drop didn't go in fact. He loaded it up, he warped in, and then just did nothing with it, and now he's going to unload in the same place. This was a mistake here from Gerald, but it's not the end of the world. We can see he's not losing anything, he's just not gaining by doing this.
And he'll still be able to set himself up really nicely for a Zealot run by at some point.
Yeah, finally, there we go. Behind this, big transition coming in here from our Protoss player.
Yeah, Disruptor's going forward here, gonna get the nice shots on the Hydras there. In fact, a couple Stalkers going with it, I think, or Lurkers rather. Still gets a couple Lurkers in the second Disruptor shot on the backside. Beautifully done. Finally, Gerald connecting 1, 2, 3. Not wild Disruptor shots, but still very effective. Yeah. We can see another Lurker going down. Gerald not trading terrible at all there. Stephano still gets a fair amount. 9 Stalkers and the Warp Prism, most importantly, going down in that engagement.
But Gerald right now, his thing is just buy time. Buy time, be annoying, execute, at the other side of the map while he macros at home. He's making disruptors, he's getting Storm. He has 3 Stargates now. I believe 3, is that correct? Yeah, 3 Stargates. He has a Fleet Bacon. He's going to be able to move into carriers very, very shortly. He's just banking, and waiting for that opportunity. Of course, you don't want to go into it blind without knowing what your opponent's doing, because you could just die if you're not able to rematch quickly. There's a lot of disruptors here right now. This is a very, very scary army at this side of the map, and carrier production has begun at the other. Oh, okay, that was spicy.
Yeah, rough initial disruptor shots there. The last 4 are going to do fairly decently, but look at this. Gerald going to lose every last disruptor. Yeah. And Grant, I was just about to say, both of these armies are so explosive right now that anything could happen. I think it's really, really foolish to call these games early. Yes, Gerald's slightly ahead in the worker count, but with lurkers and disruptors in the field, one small mistake on either side can completely flip this game. Grant, you and I have been casting StarCraft for long enough to know that you would have to be a complete and utter idiot to say that either player has already won this game, especially with lurkers and disruptors out on the field.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Gerald right now is at his most vulnerable. My concern is that Stephano probably hasn't identified that. I think he probably has the game sense to know, okay, all he made was Stalkers and Disruptors. What's he doing at home? Because it's pretty obvious this isn't his end game. But the carriers are only just arriving. They don't have any upgrades yet, so they're not that difficult to deal with. A few High Templars added into the mix means this endgame army is getting strong, and I'm certainly concerned, but it is not over yet. And Stephano, he's found a time and a decent angle to engage on his opponent, and if he can find a good amount of damage, there's a possibility that he can snowball this.
Yeah, this is an interesting composition right now from Stephano. Very few lurkers, not a lot of lings. His Viper's unable to do anything because there's not enough DPS in the backside here. I don't know why he's engaging with a quarter of an army on the other side of the map. That was a bit of a bridge too far for Stephano. A really rough engagement there. Really rough engagement.
Yeah, now Stephano's going to be able to pull back and survive for now, landing his army in the Hudson River to make sure it doesn't all die. But the carrier count is starting to grow quite a bit. +1 air weapons has now begun as well. And once carriers get to 5, 6, 7, 8, it's terrifying. It can be very hard to deal with without good air army or good air upgrades or a good amount of Vipers. Now, these joints are nice. A lot of disruptors have been going down in this game. My concern, as I said, is if he can't pick off the actual carriers, he's going to be able to get 1 or 2 here, definitely, which is good. And even throwing down a parasitic bomb to pick up another one or at least damage it. But look how many Hydras there are or are not, because Stephano needs to get these next 13 out.
Yeah, very tough fight there from Stephano, even though I think he did really well considering, but you just realize how bad his army actually was on the ground there. He had to pull, I think he had to do 4 different yoinks on those carriers to finally kill 3 of them. He's going to force out the shield battery overcharge though, and right now, Gerald does not have much on the ground right now. Look at that unit counting station. It's 6 Zealots versus the world, Grant.
Yeah, these High Templars going to drop a couple of feedbacks here onto the Vipers, but they are not the threat right now. It's his army on the ground. This Disruptor is going to pop out, most likely immediately to its death. Just kidding, isn't even going to pop out. There's one in the back trying to get a shot off. Stephano splits. Not bad, only loses the one Hydra here, but this base is going to be absolutely decimated. And behind this, Stephano is droning up again, getting back up to the 90s, where he now has almost, okay, now double his the workers of his opponent. Oh, no, he doesn't, sorry, the army supply of his opponent. And he's taking down so much infrastructure, killing so many probes. There are a couple of DT counterattacks here, which are nice, but I mean, there's just no army.
Yeah, that fourth base getting cleared out is really, really painful. Of course, the DT is going to do a fair amount of damage and probably will be able to take out the fifth base fairly easily, but the fourth base should stay strong. Remember, that fourth base is weakened considerably because the lurkers, because the Vipers, getting their energy up from it. But Stephano's still in a really great spot. Ahead on workers, ahead on bases, ahead on composition. Now his infrastructure, even better. It's all down to the carrier production of Gerald. But Grant, Gerald can't afford any carriers. No. Look at his mineral bank.
Yeah, he's got no minerals. He's got so much gas in it at this point. Maybe he needs to make some Archons or something. I really don't know, because there's a lot of lurkers on the field right now. We're looking at a current amount of 11 lurkers, pretty well upgraded too, which means the ground army is always going to be Stephano. It's going to be too difficult to come back from. 10 High Templars coming in. It looks like Gerald, listening to my advice, knows he has to do something right now. But the Storms are nice. They're okay. Storms are pretty good against this army. I don't know if there's any way for Gerald to come back from this.
There's not, Grant. GG, and Stephano takes a fantastic comeback in game number one. And Grant, I know I harped on it during the game a bit, but this is one of those series, especially if it's Disruptor versus Lurker, where you cannot call GG. You and I both knew that Geralt was very far ahead in that game, but it would be foolish to say he was going to win because there's so many things that can go wrong. I don't think Geralt necessarily threw that game away. I think Stephano just played very, very well, despite one little bad engagement. Stephano did a really nice job coming back there and earns himself a very solid game one. That was not a throw by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Stephano found a very brief window in that game where he was able to just pincer through and hit that forward base of Geralt. And Geralt he only had a couple of carriers, and we sort of criticized Stephano a little bit for using so many yoinks to kill the carriers, but that resource was used successfully in the end because he did stop critical mass from being attained. Sure, it cost him a lot, but I mean, he did what he needed to do.
Yeah, 3 carriers by themselves, really not terrifying at all.
No.
It's tough for that to be really scary.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you're absolutely correct. Stephano able to trim that down, stay with the lurker production, and prevent Geralt from sort of teching into the army composition that would defeat his own. Very well played by the Frenchman here, and Stephano gonna grab. That's not his first map win of the tournament, is it? Where's Stephano? We're in Group B now. So yeah, that's his second map win of the tournament. He's only grabbed one map win off of Skillus. So he's looking for a big win here because Stephano currently 0-2 in this group, whereas Gerald actually also 0-2. Yeah, so both players desperately need this win.
Yeah, they do. I completely agree with you there. Now we load into 2000 atmospheres, and I'm expecting some more shenanigans here. Stephano never really plays the game completely standard, neither does Geralt. And let's get into it, Creighton. This could be our final map of the day. We're going to find out very, very shortly.
Exciting stuff indeed. Let's hop on in, Grant. Spawning in that top right-hand side in the red, representing France and Gamers Origin. He is the one, the only Stephano. Oh, are you on my camera?
I am.
Stephano.
And his opponent in the bottom left. He is the Blue Protoss player from Poland, representing Exxon Gaming. It is Gerald. He's got like 9 names.
Gerald. If you're American, you got to call him Gerald.
Gerald is my dad's name. He's watching too. Hi, Dad.
Hi. Hello, Gerald.
My dad loves you. He calls you Crichton.
Perfect. After the dwarf character, or the robot character from Red Dwarf.
Yes, yeah.
I've never heard of that show before I moved to the UK, and then I moved to London, and every new person I met was like, oh, like the robot from Red Dwarf. And I was like, no, but sure, whatever. I'll take it. I didn't know it was a real thing.
No, I thought
people were messing with me. And of course, the next thing everybody says is, I always say, "Oh, I'd never seen Red Dwarf," and they go, "Oh, well, you're named Creighton. You have to watch it."
Yeah.
Come on, don't do that to me just because I have the same name as one of the characters.
You don't even have the same name. It's just a bit similar.
Yeah, imagine if your name was Lisa and everybody was like, "Oh, you have to watch every single series ever that had a Lisa in it." Like, come on. Very standard game so far, though, Grant. Despite my distaste for being told to watch series that I don't care about. Very standard game here with the Cybercore into Nexus on the low ground.
Yeah.
And the Hatchcast Pool out of Stephano, which I really like, man. 2K Atmos, a new map, but genuinely seems like it's got the similar build to most of our other maps, right?
Yeah. It's that sort of zigzaggy pattern. Sort of harks back to Cloud Kingdom a little bit with some high ground, some low ground, and a zigzag method of moving across it. It's a nice map. I like 2000 Atmospheres a lot. Good looking map too. But it doesn't lend itself well to absolute shenanigans in ways like Beckett does. So more standard here from both our players. Stephano forced to take his third as his natural. And Gerald, of course, just wants to know if it is going to be Queens before the natural, and it is going to be just that. And that is a quick Stargate here from our Protoss player.
Quick Stargate out from Gerald. We'll see if we get some more 3 Foracle builds coming out of our boy from Poland. Right, cool. I want to go back to a quick point you made earlier, Grant, where you said this is not only a pretty standard-looking map and a well-designed map, but a good-looking map indeed. I don't think enough people take the time. You know, when you get into a ladder game, you just want to win the ladder game. But take a minute to appreciate, guys, the care and love that our map makers give to all of these creations that they have. I mean, how pretty is some of this scenery. We got these weird purpley vines that are for some reason alive, moving nutrients, a nice pink and blue color pattern that's easy on the eyes and easy to watch, which is a big deal. You see, you might notice in the 1v1 pool, there haven't been a lot of snow maps lately because players complain that looking at that white all the time is hard on their eyes. Very smart. So our map makers go to these more tuned color palettes rather, and just little bits and bobs everywhere. There's of course the whale shark up in the top side of this map, hidden up here. You can't see him right now. It really is gorgeous, and a shout out to all of our map makers for working so hard. Excited to see Team Liquid map contest
me too. Back. Yeah, so cool to see it come back. Thank you, Apollo, for saving esports. Void Ray this time, so a little bit of a different build coming out from our Protoss player. Interested to see what he follows up with that Stargate, if he goes more Void Rays, or just goes to the Twilight Council, and that is going to be the play here. Stephano going to get a lot of Queens. He's an old school European pro, and that's what Queens do. If you ever see Snoop return, he'll do the same thing. It's just the way they play. Please come back, Jens. We miss you. Spore Crawler's going to come down now, of course, as well in a decent time, and lots of drones. Stargate means a Zerg player can make drones because they either expect to lose some or they know they're safe. You don't get many just all-ins off the back of a Void Ray.
No, it's tough to do. The only real all-in you see is the Mass Void Ray all-in with the double Stargate.
Yeah, it's
clearly not going to be the case. Yeah, very rare.
Finally!
After its initial surge in popularity, double Stargate, fantastically dropped off since then.
Fell from grace.
Thank you. That's exactly the correct phrase.
I'm with you.
Glaive to depths on the way, Grant. And where's that Roach Warren, Grant? Where's that Roach Warren?
Yeah, a little bit scary. It needs to come down very shortly. Glaive's a very quick upgrade, Creighton. It finishes a lot quicker than Blink does. I think it's similar to the time of Charge, which again is speedy. We even have this Void Ray on the high ground. He's going to pick off or pick up a drone or two, or at least be annoying. Stephano really needs a Roach Warren like 5 seconds ago, because time is getting a little bit spicy, and this build, I said it earlier today, has kind of fallen down in popularity a little bit. There is no Robo, right? I'm not tripping. No, so there's no Robo, so there's not going to be any massive reinforcements from this. It's not going to be an all-in. It's probably just going to be glaives into a third, and that third is, of course, already down, into a Robo tech and things like that with upgrades. So this is going to be difficult to deal with. How many adepts are we currently looking at? 10. There's no Roach Warren still. He's making a bunch of links. This could actually be the game, and it's not even intended to do that.
Yeah, there's 9 Lings in the map right now. It's going to be all Queen defense all the time. And of course, with 20 Lings in production, it's great. But look at how concentrated Stephano is on his build. Yeah. He's so focused on getting up to his late game build. He's built ranged attacks rather than melee attacks for his units. And that's just a horrific miscall here from our French Zerg player. He's got to get some damage on the field, and spending money on upgrades just not where he wants to be. I think he's probably pretty low on larva though as well, so he's got to do something with those dollars. But this is exactly what you want to see if you're Gerald.
Yeah, if Stephano can stem the flow and maybe save a few more drones and stop losing them at 12, it's not game-ending. It's certainly not an amount of damage he wants to take. There are still even more adepts here as well. But Stephano isn't massively behind in drones just yet. He's been forced to pull workers for a long time too, so the actual damage is of course, twofold. But now this isn't great. Now he doesn't want to be losing anymore. This is definitely the point where he came back way too early. He loses another 7, 8, 9 drones there. That's not good now. Now we're in a really, really rough position.
And even more adepts coming into the fourth base now, Grant. These lings pulled back and forth. This is what we've talked about so many times with glaive adept pushes. They're not just scary when they hit. You know, like Widow Mine drops. Once you clear them out, for the most part, you're kind of done with them. You've solved it. These adepts stick around forever and ever and ever. It's like Handel. They stick around forever and ever. Alleluia, alleluia. They just never go away, Grant.
I love watching the chat talk about UK shows. I've seen 2 pints of lager. People talking about all this stuff, so good. Anyway,
I'd like to hear a what is it? What's the fake show from that Mitchell and Webb look where he drinks a pint somewhere and sings a nonsense song?
I don't know.
I
didn't watch a lot of like sketch shows. It was never really my thing. I mean, drones continuing to fall down here. Stephano down to just 52. Gerald sitting at 64 and double producing. He's getting a lot of stalkers and a big attacks queued up behind us. And I mean, even adding on the Dark Shrine a little bit earlier than anticipated because he knows Stephano's going to be cutting corners. And actually, he picked off a few of the Spore Crawlers. If we take a look at resources lost here, no, he didn't. I know he was certainly softening them up in the main. And it softened. But survived. Hydra's on the way and in the third as well. That means DTs can come in and just swipe once or twice and clear that out, and then there needs to be an Overseer reposition. It's all frustrating, and this attack now, I mean, it's 22 Lings and 3 Hydras against all of these Stalkers, all of these Adepts, the Void Ray, the Sentries. I don't know if Stephano's going to be able to hold on.
It's going to be really tricky, man. Really tricky. Blink, of course, finished up +1, finished up so early in this game. That's another reason those later adepts were so scary. Nice, nice work by the Stephano to get his lings in. A bit late on the force fields there. In fact, those force fields completely feckless for Gerald, not doing anything. But Grant, there's a secondary attack going down now. And as John Mulaney taught us, you never want to get caught in a secondary location. And right now, Gerald forcing Stephano to do just that.
Yeah, this is very, very scary right now. Stephano needs to defend on multiple fronts. He can't give up too much leeway in either position because he will die. And this base is really starting to get quite low. And Glaive Adepts, you don't think of them as a base killer, but they can, given a lot of time. Any unit can, of course. Oh, nice pick up on the Prism though. It looks like Stephano will push this back, but the base went down.
Yeah, at the cost of the 12 o'clock base, man. At the cost of the 12 o'clock base, straight up, hashtag not worth it. The Adept's going to work their way back into the mineral line here, forcing Banelings to explode. And the Banelings, not even enough to clear out all those Adepts. There's still 3 Adepts alive under the clutch of these Overlords, Grant. 11 more drones disappearing. And Stephano just going to hashtag go for it. He's got to roll. He can't sit back anymore. He's at 47 workers and 3 bases at 10 minutes into the game.
Void Ray gonna fly in to its death, unfortunately. Does get to scout a little bit, I guess, but that's it. Stephano is gonna make a whole bunch of Banelings. These don't even have speed just yet. Needs to wait a good 30 seconds for that, but that gives time for the Colossus to get here. And I think Stephano's probably gonna, no, he is gonna wait, okay, for another set. But with good force fields, time for the second Colossus. Is that ETL? No, okay, that's pretty big. Stephano has a chance. He still has a very hefty army here, up in army supply. Super batteries need to come in pretty soon to keep as many of his units alive as possible. But with that, I'm not too sure here if Gerald's going to be able to be broken.
Yeah, super battery helping out quite a bit. Of course, slow Banelings, very, very useless against a nicely microed Protoss army. The force field count very low because, of course, Gerald gave away so many of those sentries at the previous attack, but I think he's got plenty to defend against this.